The word ahimsa means peace and non-violence to all living beings. After hearing about the cruelties happening in the dairy industries, many people realize why we vegans choose to reject dairy products. But then they ask us, do such cruelties happen in all dairy farms? What about small dairy farms in villages? They don't artificially impregnate the cow, and in fact, I personally know a dairy farm where the calf is allowed to drink its milk before the cow is milked. And in fact, if that calf were allowed to drink all of the milk, it might fall ill and even die. So therefore, can vegans drink AHINSA milk? Let's find out. I made it a point in my previous video to call out the artificial impregnation of cows and buffaloes as rape. After that, many people have asked me, well, if instead of artificial impregnation, if I brought in a bull to mate with a cow naturally, is that okay? Could such an action be called ahimsa? Once again, you need to ask yourself that question in the human context. If I brought in a woman and I did not tie her up, but then fenced her and threw a man into the mix, would that be okay? Could that action be called ethical? Would that be ahimsa? We have truly distanced ourselves from the word ahimsa so much that we have forgotten what it even means. Yes, the action happening between the bull and the cow is natural, but it happens once again due to human interference, human control, and human domination. There is a clear difference between animals choosing to mate with each other in nature and us humans forcing them to do so. We have no right to be involving ourselves and forcing someone to get pregnant, forcing someone to carry a baby in them for 9 months, and forcing someone to go through labor pain so that we can steal a liquid that comes out of their body. Such actions are most definitely not ahimsa. We all know that in commercial dairy farming, if a male calf is born, it is either sent for slaughter or sold for doing hard labor. Many people say that they know a dairy farm where such actions do not happen and that the calf is allowed to stay with the mother and is never separated. Well, let's do some simple math using this logic and see if things add up. Say that a small-scale dairy farmer from a village has 10 cows with him. He breeds these cows and now 10 calves are born. Out of the 10, let us say 5 are male and 5 are female. Since this farm does not separate the calves from the mother, the 10 calves are allowed to stay with their mothers. Fast forward a year later and the mother cows need to be impregnated again. And this time, the 5 female calves have come to age 2, which means they will be made pregnant too. So now we have the 10 original mother cows, the 5 bulls, the 5 females, and all of their children too, which brings it to a grand total of 35 bovines in a span of around 2 years. Now, are you telling me that this farmer is going to be feeding 35 bovines and more as the number of animals keeps growing larger and larger year after year? The bulls are just going to sit there eating extra food and not even doing anything. Water is such an expensive commodity and these animals drink copious amounts of water. To take care of 35 cows is no easy feat. Since this is ahimsa milk we are talking about, the dairy farmer isn't going to give oxytocin injections to the cows either. So are you telling me that he will have the money to pay for all their food, all their water, their veterinary care and sell a considerably smaller amount of milk as he doesn't use oxytocin injections, turn a profit and also take care of his family? You have got to be joking. Milk business, like any other business, is a business. It is used to make a profit. It's not a service. By using ahimsa techniques, it is impossible to make a profit, which is why such farms cannot exist. The next time you visit one of these ahimsa dairy farms, all you need to do is count the number of lactating mothers and see for how many years they have been used there and demand to see the corresponding number of children. If said cannot be produced, such milk is not ahimsa milk. Taking someone's child away and selling them to make money is not ahimsa. Now let's say for the sake of argument you do manage to find a dairy farm like the one I mentioned previously. Is milk from such a farm ahimsa milk? Well, I have a few questions to ask. Is tying up a cow or a buffalo ahimsa? Who are we to control someone else's locomotion? I mean, everyone on earth has the right to decide where they want to go, how they're going to move, and not be kept under confinement. We tie up cows and buffaloes because we want to control them. We are controlling them. We are limiting them. Therefore, we are enslaving them. This by no means can be considered as ahimsa. And what about tying a rope around a cow's nose? You do realize that a sharp steel device is inserted into the cow's nostrils so that a hole can be punctured and a thick rope is then tied between its nose. Why, you may ask? So that if ever in its life it is a disobedient milk slave, one tug on the rope will bring it crashing to its knees and put it back in its place. Tell me again how your milk is ahimsa milk. The moment you tie someone up and use them as your slave, that action can no longer be considered as ahimsa. It is true that many cows and buffaloes in modern day dairy farms produce vast amount of milk, far more than their calf would ever need, because these animals have been hugely genetically modified. This is beyond their control. Notice that no other female in the animal kingdom produces more milk than what their child would need. Now, this is not because God wanted us to milk cows, but because humans have genetically modified, selectively bred and used drugs to ensure that the cow that produces the most amount of milk exists. This is the result of human greed, not evolution or God's creation. Stop blaming the cow for the situation she is in. Her udders hurt because she's producing too much milk. She's producing too much milk because she just gave birth. She just gave birth because she was pregnant. She was pregnant because a dairy farmer inseminated her. The dairy farmer inseminated her because you paid him to do so, because you wanted to consume dairy products. The culprit to be blamed is the milk consumer. You are ultimately responsible for creating the situation you pretend you want to save the cow from. I know what you're going to say next. You're going to say, but Arvind, if we allow the calf to drink all the milk, it's going to get sick and probably even die. Do you want us to just let the calf die like that? You vegans are so senseless and heartless. This is just another tactic deployed by the victimizer to make it seem like what they are doing is not wrong, because they are providing a temporary form of relief from suffering to a victim whose suffering they created in the first place. It is very much true that a calf could fall ill if it consumes too much milk, but once again, this problem persists only in those species that humans use to exploit for their mammary secretions. That calf shouldn't even exist, and once again exists because of those who consume dairy products. If vegans should be blamed and called callous, heartless and irresponsible for not being able to provide a 100% foolproof solution to a problem created by non-vegans who pretend to care for the calf, all I ask is, how is continuing to perpetuate that very same problem going to solve it? How is continuing to drink milk and consuming dairy products going to prevent future calves from falling into the same problem? Wouldn't going vegan and stopping the breeding of animals altogether actually solve this problem? This excuse is riddled with logical inconsistencies and lies. Saying this doesn't suddenly justify you being a non-vegan, and most definitely doesn't magically transform the milk you drink into ahimsa milk. Yes, the justification you once again give to continue consuming dairy products is that the vegan activist who wants to solve the problem in its entirety is unable to give a solution to the problem created by you, the non-vegans. Firstly, it is important that the calf is allowed to drink its requirement of milk every day. Apart from that, if there is still any excess milk, it has to be removed manually via hand, and it should be discarded or should be given as food to other starving animals, but definitely not for human consumption. Because I hope we all can agree that such milk obtained from genetically modified cows is most definitely not ahimsa milk. You know what? Ahimsa milk does exist, and we all have drank it when we were young. Our own mother's breast milk, the only milk that we can call as ours, the only milk that belongs to us, the one and only true ahimsa milk. Now, if you're not a baby and have grown solid teeth, it's high time you stopped drinking baby food, because that's what milk is. It's baby food. And stop being fooled by marketing gimmicks that show you pictures of a smiling cow on the cover of a dairy product, because such pictures could not be further from the truth. In the end, we humans do not have the right to enslave, exploit or use any animal for our benefit, and such actions cannot be considered as ahimsa. Please do the right thing